All right. Well, welcome all of you to the Hustings for St Neots East and Gransden ward, or I think it's called division. So my name's Jonathan Tame. I've been involved in one or two hustings in the last few years, and 4 years ago, almost exactly, we did this, of course, in the middle of COVID, and everything was online, but we've come back to the same format so that we can have a chance to meet our candidates, or 4 of the 5 candidates at least. So this ward is St Neots East and Gransden. It covers the town to the east of the railway, so Loves Farm and Wintringham, and 6 villages, so Great Paxton, Toseland and Yelling to the north of the A428, and Abbottsley, Great Gransden and Waresley to the south, if I've read my map correctly. So that's the area that we're covering. I just want to say local politics is relational. We get to elect a local councillor who represents us on the county council. And this is a chance for us as voters to meet the people standing to be elected as our county councillor and to hear from them personally. So they're all going to have a chance to introduce themselves and say a little bit why they're standing, what they believe, what they want to see. And then after that, we're going to have some questions. There have been 4 different questions that they've all seen in advance, and they're all going to answer. And then we've had some other questions that have been submitted, and we're going to just sort of rotate around a bit and see what we are able to cover, what other issues we can cover. So every 4 years, residents across the county vote for 61 councillors who make up the council across Cambridgeshire. And our votes can help to shape the future of our neighbourhood. These elections decide how services are run, how our council tax is spent, and what happens in our area. And the county council looks after a budget of nearly £1.2 billion. That, I was shocked to see that. So there's a lot of money that is really in the hands of our elected councillors who run the vital services that make a real difference to people's lives. And this includes roads and footpaths, libraries, household waste disposal, schools, and adult and children's social care. I think those are the main categories. I'm sure there's some other ones as well. But anyway, that's really what's up at stake. And so what we're going to do now is to hear from our different candidates. And I'm going to go through in alphabetical order by first name. So for these introductions, it's going to be Ari, Fiona, Lara, and then Sarah. Jenny has got this clever timer that's going to be up on the screen, and it's going to give you a countdown. There we go, from 3 minutes down to 0. And I ask you please to stop by 0. I don't want us to have to mute any of you kind of forcibly, but I hope we'll all give each other time to speak and respond and listen to each other. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Ari for your 3-minute introduction.
I'm just going to see if I can pin Ari and pin all of the candidates. Apologies, I should have done that earlier, just so you can all be seen.
Thank you. Can I be seen?
I can see you, yes.
Oh, thank you very much. So thank you very much for that introduction, and welcome everyone to these hustings. It's a privilege to be able to tell you about why I think this is an important thing to vote for in the county council election, and why I think the Conservative view is the one that is perhaps the one that addresses our needs the most at this particular time. So my name is Ari Laakkonen. I live in Abbottsley. I've lived there for over 10 years, together with my wife and children. We have a dog and currently just 1 cat. I do have a full-time job. I'm a lawyer, but if I am elected, then obviously I would take the time that's needed for this for this position to make sure that it's handled correctly and properly. It does need weekend dedication, and it needs time during the evenings, and it also needs time during the week, and I'm ready for that. The reason I'm standing is because, having lived here for quite a while, I would like to be able to advocate for positive change locally myself, for my family, and for everyone who lives here as well. Because I think I know what the problems are. Of course, there's always more to learn, but I have a fair idea of the problems that need to be solved, and I'd like to tackle those. And so the things that I think we have in common that do need to be changed, I would categorize into 5 classes. Those are my 5 priorities that I'd like to tell you about at this point. Of course, we can address more as we come to the questions, but the 5 are: first, the state of the roads. I just can't say enough about this. If some of the potholes are 6 inches deep, the last 4 years of the county council being run by the Lib Dems and Labour haven't really done anything to fix the roads. Second, getting NHS doctors sited locally. We could do with some doctors in Abbottsley, even if it's 1 or 2 days a week. Visiting locally would be a great help to everyone. And it would also help people going to see the doctor so that it would reduce traffic. Third, we need more police presence, visible police presence in Loves Farm, but it also, the same applies to the villages, Abbottsley, and so on. They all need it, and we need to have an effective lobby with the Police and Crime Commissioner to make this happen. Fourth, I would like to advocate for development that comes together with the infrastructure. Green spaces, sports facilities, things that create the community spirit. I would also campaign for local pubs. Why is there no permanent pub and restaurant presence in Loves Farm? This is something I would campaign for, just the same as I've campaigned for a pub to continue in Great Gransden. Fifth, hope and future for the young people. We need jobs as well as education, because once people finish their education, they need jobs. And this needs a thriving high street in St. Neots and more opportunity.
Great, thank you. I think that worked really well. Thank you so much, Ari, for that introduction.
I would just say that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the timer runs actually from 3 minutes.
Yes, that's good.
So it's, I think it's meant to be a minute, but it runs from 3.
No, this is 3 minutes.
Oh.
This one, yeah. Brilliant. So now over to Fiona.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right? Excellent. So good evening, everyone. My name is Fiona Caldwell, and I'm standing before you tonight as a candidate for County Council in the upcoming local elections of St. Neots East and Great Gransden. I live on Loves Farm and have proudly called St. Neots my home now for about 2 years. I decided to run because, well, quite frankly, I was disheartened by what I saw and what I continue to see, and I can give a short explanation. Before moving here, I asked local residents, what is it like to live in St. Neots? And I heard, it's a lovely market town, Fiona, you'll enjoy it. But when I pressed for more details, the tone would shift. People would say things like, it used to be lovely, but it's changed in recent years. I heard about paid parking becoming a burden, concerns over safety and the lack of visible policing, independent shops closing down, and banks disappearing from our high street. That's when I thought things need to change. Our community deserves better than empty promises and box-ticking politics. We need real leadership that listens, learns, and acts in the best interests of local people, not party machines. Now, a little about myself. I come from a background in international human rights and have worked with various global organizations in conflict and post-conflict zones, from the Middle East to Ukraine. That work has given me unshakable belief in justice, fairness, and the importance of good governance. Today, I run a small independent business, which has given me a fresh perspective on how local economies function, or sadly, how they sometimes fail to function at a local level. I speak to members of our community regularly and keep hearing the same concerns. locals want safer streets, clean, well-maintained infrastructures, properly funded schools, and support for our elderly and disabled residents. These shouldn't be luxuries, but are basic necessities. So as your councillor, I will be proactive and unafraid to challenge the status quo. I won't disappear between elections. I'll show up, speak up, and stand up for families, for workers, for the vulnerable, and for every resident who simply wants their council to work for them, not against them. This campaign isn't just about winning a seat. It's about restoring common sense, rebuilding community spirit, which is, I find, desperately needed in this area, and bring real accountability back to local politics. So on election day, I ask for your vote, not just for me, but for a better way forward for all of us and for our local residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fiona, for that introduction and presentation. And so we're now going to go to Lara, our third candidate.
Thank you, Jonathan. So I'm Lara. I'm your Green candidate. And next week, you're going to be voting for someone to represent the eastern area of St. Neots, plus all the surrounding villages. I'm currently the district councillor, and I look after one half of that area, so Loves Farm and Wintringham. So I already represent about half of you. And in my current elected role, I'm also a cabinet member of the council. This means that I have special responsibilities to represent all of Huntingdonshire, especially on environmental issues. I've lived here since 2013. I've been a governor of 2 local primary schools. I've led the community association on Loves Farm, and I'm a trustee of Loves Farmhouse Community Centre. I'm also a parent of an 8-year-old. So thinking about children, young people, and our future generations is very important in every decision that I make. There's also something important that you should know about Green councillors. We're different. We are guided by national ideas, but we're encouraged to make up our own minds and make decisions based on local knowledge and what matters most to local people. Our leadership in Westminster don't tell us what to do or how to vote. Like I said, we make up our own minds. In fact, I believe that the 2 most important qualities in a councillor are kindness and local knowledge. No matter how large our differences, basic human kindness to each other is incredibly powerful. Jonathan mentioned the over £1 billion budget of the County Council, but the vast majority of that is made up of social care. So supporting children in care and vulnerable adults that are not able to look after themselves. Only a small minority is left to pay for everything else. No matter how annoying that pothole outside your house is, looking after a foster child will always come first. So elements of caring and kindness about our neighbors is essential in your future councillor. The second element that I mentioned, local knowledge, is essential if the person representing you is going to bring the right funding and the right support to our local communities. I hope that over the years, you've seen me making good decisions based on your opinions. I'm convinced that I'm the best candidate to represent you at the County Council. I know this because I have so much in common with you, but most importantly, I know this because I've asked you. I've spoken with so many of you over the years, and my decisions have been and will be led by your concerns. That's why I hope you will support me next week when you go to vote. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Lara, coming in well under time there. Lastly, we have Sarah, who's going to speak for us. Just to say, so Sarah's Lib Dem. The Labour councillor is, the Labour candidate for council is Keith Prentice, but he's decided not to participate in the hustings. That's all I know. So we've got 4 of the 5 candidates. So over to you, Sarah.
Well, I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about me, because as you know, I'm a Liberal Democrat, so you know that I've got Liberal values. And I echo a lot of what Lara says. I think she makes some really good points about kindness, fairness, all of those things. I totally echo that. But I wanted to tell you about the person behind the values of Liberal Democrats. So I've lived in St. Neots for 7 years, and in my current role, I spend a lot of time between St. Neots and the villages. As you can probably tell from my accent, I don't originate from St. Neots. I was actually brought up in a really poor mining town in the northeast of England. So I certainly haven't got a silver spoon in my mouth, and I've had to work for everything that I've done. I've learned from a young age that things won't be handed to me, that I'm going to have to work hard. I've learned to be resilient, hardworking, and never give up and fight for everything. And that is your county councillor, is what I will do for you. I will fight for every decision that you need. I'm also, and have been for the last year, well, nearly the year now, a caseworker for Ian the MP, which means on a daily basis, I see the problems that people all over Cambridgeshire face. So whether it's potholes, whether it's special education needs, whether it's antisocial behaviour, whether it's people responding to the government cuts and feeling quite scared, whether it's all about people contacting the MP because they're in crisis, I am that first point of call. I'm the person who will be contacting, will be reaching out to them, will be trying to support them and trying to find a solution to the issues they've got. So I really feel like with that experience, I understand the issues because I also face them too. So I drive around the road and see the potholes. I see the state of the roads. I ring up the doctors on a Monday morning and 56 people are in the queue before me. I share the frustrations that everybody else have. I'm also a business owner. I set my business up 3 years ago. I had a very successful career in universities, but decided to set up my own business and run a very successful outsourcing firm. Because of that, I have a team of people that work for me, which means I can be flexible. I can work whenever someone needs me. And to give you an example, on Good Friday, I was out delivering leaflets because we're the Lib Dems, we're going to give you plenty of leaflets. And someone called me, a constituent in crisis, and they needed help right that second. They didn't need me to wait till Tuesday, till it was a working day. They needed that help there. So I just dropped everything and I went and I helped that person. And that's what you're going to get with me, someone who is going to give what people need when they need it. I really believe with a Liberal Democrat MP and with the best placed challenger for the mayoral elections to beat the Tories, I really feel that a Liberal Democrat county councillor is going to help deliver the services that you need.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks to all of you. Now, we're going to move on to the next stage where we're going to be looking at these specific questions, which the candidates have seen in advance. The time is going to go down to 90 seconds for this. And we're going to go in rotate. A different one of you will start each one. So we'll begin with Fiona will have the first go at this question, and then we'll have Lara, Sarah, and Ari. So this first question is about how will you address road repairs such as potholes, flood prevention to tackle these issues affecting our community, and better sustainable travel infrastructure such as cycling routes and public transport. So there's a bit of a cluster there about travel, infrastructure, floods and so on. So over to Fiona to start with. You need to unmute, sorry.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so I'll just quickly say, yes, we can all reflect on the situation of the roads. I think we're all in agreement. Potholes are a big issue here. And yes, they are in a shocking state. The roads are patched instead of being properly fixed. As Reform, we will try to push for a needs-based funding model. So areas like Little Paxton are properly resurfaced and not just dealt with in short-term patchworks, which we know do not work. And many residents have complained about this over the years. We will try to work with engineers to modernize outdated drainage systems to reduce flooding long term. As I understand, some funding has been allocated for this, but unfortunately the inactions of the current council have led to this, state. On sustainable travel, we support what's practical and not political. We'll back safe, well-connected cycle routes where there's real demand and ensure public transport is reliable, especially school and commuter services. We'll improve street lighting and safety for those who walk or bike, and will launch a Fix It Fast app so residents can report local problems and track repairs in real time. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Lara, please, on this question.
Thank you, Jonathan. I think you've actually asked us about 5 questions, so I'm going to answer one of the 5 as I have 90 seconds. I'm really glad that public transport has come up. It's impossible to ignore some of the destruction we've all seen across our landscape over the past few years, the A428 building scheme as it progressed. And this is the same route that East West Rail is likely to travel, very similar route. I think that our communities, especially Abbottsley and Wintringham, are the ones who have really borne the loss of that natural landscape. And so they should be the people who benefit the most from it. And specifically, I'm talking about East West Rail, and that whoever your county councillor is must be campaigning for a rail station to be added in the Wintringham area. This is so important to the future of transport in all of Cambridgeshire, but specifically for our communities that are centered around that point. This would be a station in addition to the proposed station at Tempsford. I've already done a lot of work on this topic, speaking to management at East West Rail. In my current council role, I've also been integral in drafting official local government replies to the current proposed route, demanding that the Wintringham area be reconsidered. So it's key skills like these that you need from your representatives, people like me who understand what local people need and then stand up for those types of large transport infrastructure projects as they come along. We can't sit by and necessarily worry 100% of the time about the potholes outside our door. We need a county councillor who's thinking bigger, who's channeling the ideas and thinking about not just roads and transport now, but roads and transport into the future. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lara. Over to Sarah now.
I agree with Laura again that I think this question is far too big for 90 seconds. So again, I was going to touch on something, and being from the Liberal Democrats, we obsess about potholes, so I'm definitely going to look at that part of the question. And I think there is no shying away from the state of our roads. Our roads are in a complete desperate state. But let's be clear about this. This has not happened overnight. This has not been in the last 4 years that these roads have deteriorated to this state. And irrespective of the blame thrown at the current administration of the Lib Dems and Labour coalition, this has happened under the Tories' watch. We have got a £600 million plus backlog in road repairs. Under the Tories, there just simply wasn't enough money put for road repairs. And like Fiona mentioned, actually filling potholes is not good enough. This is not what we want. A good road system is about preventing potholes. So rather than the patchwork that you see when you drive around the road for all of these potholes that's been filled, potholes are the symptoms. We need to be working to make sure that we've got that resurfacing. We've secured money. We're working to get more money to do that. We've kept the roads at the standard they were for the last 4 years, and we're trying to make improvements so that they will be better. Let's be frank, when it comes to active travel, so that's non-cars, we get no money for potholes, and we need to look at that as well, so that cycle routes, we can deal with that there.
Great, thank you. And finally, Ari on this question, please.
Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me. Thank you very much. So if I may touch on a number of these topics. Yes, it's true that the potholes haven't been repaired in the last 4 years. I think that would be a true statement of where we are at the moment. Is there enough money in the budget? Well, the total budget of the County Council is well over 1 billion, and repairing roads and potholes is barely 1% of that total. It's about 9 million. And the way you increase that is not by increasing council tax, but you get greater efficiency in spending. And then we could find more room there for more road repairs. As to the roads themselves, we're about 300 miles north of France. In France, the roads are pristine. Why do they have the best roads and we don't? Well, obviously, we can learn from some of the techniques there. Some of them certainly need to be rebuilt, otherwise, others need to be repaired. But the main point is that we've already had the money all along. It just hasn't been properly found by increasing efficiency in the council. cycling, obviously we need more safety, especially around the schools. Great Gransden has a problem because the children can't get into school properly because there's too many cars driving fast. Everybody knows this is happening, and I don't think we need a tracking application to stop it. What we need is an effective traffic management and speed management system to control this.
Good. Well, thank you all very much for putting in a good response there. Sorry, that was a rather kind of intense question. Here's a question which is just on one topic, but one which is very much on a lot of people's hearts. And this is, how would you support parents and teaching staff to tackle the issues they're facing at Longsands College and Ernolf, both run by Astrea? So the order here will be Lara, Sarah, Ari, and then Fiona. So Lara, you first, please.
Thank you, Jonathan. Over many years, this has been one of the most common questions that I'm asked by local people, whether it's when I'm at the school gate or, when I'm talking to people about politics. And I've been gathering the concerns of parents on this topic and bringing them before the county council for many years. You've probably seen my posts and information in the public social media and in my leaflets about it. I've been sharing my results with you as I go. So each year I check the birth rates and ensure that the county council are planning for the future pupils of our area. As of today, the 2 St. Neots secondary schools have enough room for St. Neots pupils over the next decade. And it's important that you pick a counselor who has this eye to detail and is willing to dedicate themselves to keeping tabs on that. However, addressing the quality of education has been a much more frustrating process. And the concept of turning our schools into academies years ago has really damaged our school system. Academies have become accountable to no one. Using academies has fundamentally cut any power that our county council has over these schools. As an outsider, the county council appears to be saying that they have observed problems, but there's nothing that they can do about it. And I've reached the end of my tether, and I know that the parents and other students that I talk to have reached the end of their tether as well. I now feel that the only way for me to investigate this further and to do anything about it is from the inside. So to me, this is yet another reason why, as a resident and as a school parent, I hope that you will support me at the ballot box next week so I can continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Lara. Sarah, on this question of the secondary schools.
Brilliant. Well, as a St. Neots resident, I think everybody knows exactly what's happening with Astrea. You'd have to be living under some kind of stone not to know. But also, as a caseworker for Ian, as I've mentioned, over the last year, I have personally dealt with many parents who've come to me, many of them with children who've got SEN issues, who need the help, they need the support because they're struggling with the situation that they're facing in the schools. But these 2 schools have just had good Ofsted ratings. So there's a real discrepancy between what the school and it says and what some parents think. And so working with Ian, I've been helping Ian to set up meetings with Ofsted, with the DFE, and with the school management, because it's really important at the end of the day that there is that open dialogue with all of these stakeholders so that we can work to get the best outcomes for everybody. But on the other side, on the doors, whilst I hear when I'm talking to people, how many people are having problems with Longsands and with Ernolf, I also hear positive stories. I hear stories from parents who say their children are actually benefiting from these schools. So I think we need to take that into consideration, that some parents are benefiting from this. I'm quite optimistic that with the change in structure, with the new principal at Longsands, that working with the MP, and as your county councillor, I can work very closely with you and your Liberal Democrat MP. We can keep holding the schools to account whilst keep engaging in the debate.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Sarah, on that one. So now, Ari, how would you like to respond to this question?
Thank you very much. So trusts like the one running these schools obviously operate with public money. Therefore, they need some public scrutiny. And on the public money side of it, the Conservatives have been working to make sure that whatever problems schools have, they're not a money problem. because the money is there to do what needs to be done. And if there is a problem here, which I think there is, because it's now come up many times as a question, and so there must be something there, then this is not a money issue as such. But what we need to do here is to adopt a conciliatory, collaborative approach, because confrontation is not going to solve this issue. And I don't think it's a case of the county councillor going along to boss the school around and tell them what to do, or to boss anyone around. This is about a mediation. And what needs to happen here is a greater linkage between the parents and the schools. There possibly needs to be some sort of link to feed input into the school governors, so that a solution that works for all is found. Obviously, there's a future going forwards as well. This isn't a dispute resolution we're looking at. This is a situation where we need to make sure that everybody is comfortable going forward. What I would do in this situation is talk to as many people as possible and make sure that they all hear each other's views and understand them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Over to Tim.
So yes, as many people have already said, although Long Sands and Ernolf are run by a trust, your local council still has influence. So Reform UK will hold trusts like Australia to account, ensuring they provide quality education and safe facilities. I am someone who values discipline and service. I know what that respect starts with being heard. So as Ari stated earlier, we will try to create direct forums for both parents, staff and teachers to raise concern and demand action. We'll also make sure developer money via Section 106 is properly collected and spent. So if we are building more homes, we're also getting the school places, roads and GP access that families desperately need. Education shouldn't fall through the cracks because of mismanagement or poor planning, and under reform, hopefully it won't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's really good to hear your different views on what is clearly a topic that's on a lot of people's hearts. Now, here's another topic that I think a lot of people are really interested to know your views on, and that's around the growing population of Loves Farm, Wintringham, Loves Farm East, and maybe in the villages as well, I'm not sure. But the question is, what facilities do you think are needed in the local area to support our growing population, and how will you ensure these are built and delivered? So we're going to go Sarah, Ari, Fiona and Lara on this one. So Sarah, would you like to start?
Yeah, and this is probably a topic that I could talk about for hours. It's such an exciting thing and there is so much to go with it. So I've tried to pick a few things that I know, again, on the doors when I'm talking to people that are coming through. So the first thing is health. We need more health centres. We need more health facilities. The Wintringham Health Centre is going to come online soon, within the next few years. But obviously that is a great opportunity to have a community diagnostic centre. Could we make it into a minor injuries unit? I'd also be advocating for some dental services. We desperately need that in St. Neots, and that's something that I see as a caseworker as well. But what we need to be mindful of is that as a county councillor, we do not have the power to ensure delivery. But what we can do is fight and advocate for the things that we want. So let's mention the town square, because it is so important. We have spent the money. We've already done it. We've invested in the market square. And whether you were for it or not, we are going to have a fantastic entertainment venue on the river. Let's be ambitious. Let's get some really good events. Let's get some great acts. Let's make the Priory Centre an amazing place to be. Let's put St. Neots back on the map as an amazing market town, so that when Universal comes down, we get more people coming, more people investing, and we get more facilities from that as well.
Great, thank you so much, Sarah. Great pitch. Now, Ari, how would you answer that one?
Thank you. Yes, I think that on the subject of the new patio in St. Neots, what I would say is that, of course, it was the Conservatives who secured the funding for 15 million for that. And now we're just really waiting to see how the money is spent. But I'm currently failing to see how a new patio would really address these needs. There needs to be so much more. What I think about in terms of local facilities includes shopping in St. Neots. And we need to bring people into shops, into the centre of St. Neots, so that the centre starts to thrive. And the free parking policy offered by Paul Bristow, who's the mayoral candidate for the Conservatives, I think is the right step in this direction. In Loves Farm, Wintringham and other developments which don't have a centre as such in the same way as St. Neots does, I'm completely for coupling development with a mix of facilities that go with it. And those facilities should arrive at the beginning of the development and not afterwards. They should include doctors. We need to have a mix of restaurants and pubs as well. The more we have, the more we can cause developments to arrive at a hybrid high street like we traditionally have. And if we don't do that, then we'll also lose the hybrid high street.
Okay, thank you so much. Fiona now, please, on this question.
Yes, I would say I do agree with Aria on a lot of these issues. As we know, St. Neots is growing fast with other areas developing, such as Tempsford and Little Barford, which, as we know, will be soon developed into huge housing estates around the area. But our services are not keeping up. So we will try to make sure that developers pay their fair share through properly enforced Section 106 agreements. That means schools, GP surgeries, roads and green spaces are delivered on time, not after the fact, and build these buildings first and make sure they're in place before other buildings, residential houses, and etc. will be put in place. We'll audit the council departments, cut inflated salaries and vanity projects, such as mentioned with the 15 million of the Market Square. Prioritise investment in real local needs like youth centres, libraries, community sports and care services. We'll also try to give residents a real say in what gets built through the town forums and binding referenda on major developments, so people's voices are not ignored behind closed doors. This is what we will try to deliver. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Fiona. Last on this one, Lara.
Thank you. I think it's really important for voters to note that most of the ideas we've heard so far from the candidates, the county council has little to no power to control. And so it's really important that you vote for a councillor who is willing to work outside of their role, beyond their remit, asking for things that don't fit neatly within the confines of what's defined as the county council. And I've been doing this for years, and I hope that you've seen some of the results of my work. A safer pedestrian crossing on Hogsden Lees, giveaway road markings that are coming to Kester Way and Station Square, consistently working with Wintringham developers to bring forward a health centre that includes some of the things that Sarah has already mentioned, like dental services. More wildflowers and better planting across our communities, funding for community centres like the Reading Room in Great Gransden to retrofit their building, more tree cover in the replanting scheme for the A428, helping bring the library bus to Loves Farm in Wintringham, challenging planning applications where they're inappropriate, and supporting planning applications where they are fitting and necessary for our towns and villages. All these things are essential and important to have your representatives advocating for, but they're outside of the remit of the county council. And so if you're voting for a county councillor, you have to be willing to choose someone who's willing to work outside their brief. Over the years, I've listened to you, and I'll continue to fight for the things that you want to see in your community beyond what the usual expectations are of a county councillor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that technical explanation as well, Lara. It is a bit confusing as to what is covered by the county council and what's covered by the district council in terms of responsibilities, and all that is due to change anyway. So we've got a bit of a sort of an uncertain few years ahead, but hey, what's new? Lastly, in terms of 4 preset questions that the candidates have seen, here's the last one. How do you plan to attract sustainable, in-demand businesses that create job opportunities for the local community? So, Ari, to go first on this one.
Thank you very much. This question is of course about jobs, but it's really about actually the future of the young people in the St. Neots area. Because once young people finish their education, then they will hopefully need jobs afterwards. And we need to make sure that people actually have jobs to go to. Jobs are not the sort of thing that a government can simply order business to create. What we do instead is we create the conditions for business to thrive. And once it thrives, then business will create the jobs for people. Therefore, that's what we are looking at here. And one of the most obvious targets that we should be thinking about right now is St. Neots and the centre of it. Why aren't we as successful as, say, Huntingdon or St. Ives? We're just not. So I think what we need to do is to aim there. The free parking proposal by Paul Bristow is a good start. We need to make it so that shoppers can get to the shops in a hassle-free way, which is not awkward. We need to develop the town centre in a meaningful way and use that 15 million in a useful way, which actually creates new jobs. Otherwise, I'd like my money back, please, because I was one of the people who paid my taxes to make that happen. We also need good transport connections, and their roads and rail are good. For that too. Thank you.
Sorry, Brad. Good. Now, Fiona, on this one.
Well, as a local business owner, I understand very well the difficulties that come with that. And it's all about backing local enterprise, not bloated bureaucracy. We'll work to cut red tape, reduce parking charges, and not hurt the footfall, and make it easier for small businesses, food vendors, and pop-ups to trade. Bring back, for example, proper farmers markets with local produce and artisan stall holders. So by supporting local genuine businesses, not big chains, we revitalize our high streets and create jobs that stay in our community. We'll push for lower business rates for small firms, make licensing simpler, and support events like Shop St. Neots Saturday to boost local trade. I know, like as most of us here, that local businesses' success also depends on safer streets. So we'll invest in visible policing and safety infrastructure to give businesses, workers, and customers peace of mind. We will try to offer grants or low interest rates to boost the local economy. We don't need more taxes. We need common sense and discipline in spending, and I will try to deliver that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Fiona. Lara, now on this one.
Thank you. So inward investment and economic development are not a role of the County Council, but it is still a really good question. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the work I've been doing over the last few years. First of all, just to clarify, parking is not controlled by the County Council and is not controlled by the mayor. In terms of attracting businesses, we simply cannot expect our economic future to look anything like our economic past. Our market squares and high streets are incredibly important to all of us, but they no longer have the same purpose. Data shows that local people go there to be entertained and to be wined and dined, and we must keep up with these demands. Attracting industry is equally important. We have to be on the front foot, attracting the sectors that our future generations will be proud of. For example, Huntingdonshire recently hosted a conference of battery technology research companies. As a councillor, I consider myself to be a salesperson encouraging inward investment, but only investment for the right industries. Again, this has nothing to do with the work of the County Council, but it gives you an idea of the things I've been promoting for the benefit of local people. In my opinion, the most of our economic issues link back to the lack of local training opportunities. When young people in our communities reach 16 or 18, their options are incredibly limited. They have to be quite determined to travel to learn the skills that are really in demand. That's why I've been so proud of the part I played in bringing a retrofit skills academy to St. Ives. And I'm also involved in a scheme to expand the range of post-16 education subjects that can be studied right in St. Neots. The details aren't ready yet, but it's coming soon.
Great. Thank you so much, Laura. And finally, on this question, Sarah.
Okay, well, I actually think it's really exciting time for our area. I'm an optimist. I think let's look at our location. We're on the East Coast Main Line. We're on the A428. We are on the growth corridor. We've got a prime location and a really good opportunity. I think we do so much manufacturing in St. Neots, and we've got real opportunity that we can work with that. And with Universal Studios coming to Bedford, we've got a real opportunity to be able to tap into that. And how can we? And what we need is a county councillor who's going to look for opportunities for local businesses. Can local businesses be the supplier? It's going to untap tourism. It's going to unlock a lot of things that we're going to be able to tap into and really, really make the most out of this fantastic opportunity that we've got with Universal Studios. One of the things as a business owner, and I set my business up 3 years ago, and it's hard. It is really hard setting a business. And what I've learned being a business owner from firsthand is that you need that right support and help in place. So I would really advocate for business hubs, for incubators. I have an amazing business coach, and I like to see that. I actually, as part of what I do outside of politics, is I mentor several women around the world at the start of their business careers to try and help them to get the most out of what they're doing. And I want to see more mentoring schemes, more business hubs, all of this. And I will advocate for a reform in business rates.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Lots of content there, and lots to think about, to distinguish between your different approaches and priorities and so on, which is really good. Now we have got 12 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is to try and have a couple of questions that are being submitted by people here who have sent them in advance. Let me pick up one here from, this is from James. He says, this division has got two very different areas, St. Neots east of the railway line, so Loves Farm and Wintringham, and the 6 villages surrounding. And the question is, what steps would you take to help them build a more common focus? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ask one of you to respond to this. And then if any of the other 3 want to sort of say something different or challenge or add, to give you a chance to do that. So we're going to see whether this is going to work. Would one of you want to raise your hands if you'd really like to answer this one? Whose hand's going to go up first? Do I need to? Oh, Lara's got it. I'll just read the question again. The division's got 2 very different areas. St. Neots, here, Loves Farm, Wintringham, and then the 6 villages. What steps would you take to help them build a more common focus? So Lara, you have 90 seconds on this one.
Thank you. You won't be surprised to know that I think it probably would be a railway station in the middle, but I actually challenge the premise of the question. I think that we have villages with unique and wonderful characteristics. I think their distinctiveness is important. I think even the 2 big housing developments are so different. Do they need to be brought together? I think we should enjoy the things that are different about each other. I think we have different areas that like to celebrate different cultural events. And so I think that we don't necessarily need to be pulled together always into a common way. We should be able to celebrate the differences that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, would if one of the others of you want to make any comment on that? Do you want to put your hand up? Yes, Fiona.
Sometimes I do feel that rural communities can be ignored, and I will definitely try to fight for funding for rural roads. A lot of stress is being put under some of these rural communities because of development, because of building works. So it seems that some of the issues on the roads will not probably be fixed until a lot of these building developments have been completed. So that could, we talk about priorities, that's one of them that should be talked about more openly. Also, I think talking to farmers in the rural communities about inheritance tax and how that also transpires to the wider community that support farms. So I think, yes, it's important that we look at our towns and some of the larger areas, but we cannot forget about the rural communities that do sometimes feel that they're being left behind. And it will be my job to make sure that they are not. Thank you.
Thank you. Tell you what, I'm going to go on to a different question, and I'll give Ari and Sarah the chance to go first on this one, just because of time. So this question is about Aunties Wood. This is from Serial. Aunties Wood at the top of Lush Farm has previously been the site of arson attacks, quite minor ones, but she says the problem is summer's coming, possible heat waves, and the railway embankment, which is sort of adjacent to Aunties Wood, and not far from it is the row of houses on Hogston Lees. And the danger is that this embankment doesn't get any attention. There's a lot of litter there, and it could potentially be a fire hazard that might, where a fire on that embankment could threaten the houses there. So the question is, if elected, what would you do to encourage the railway owners to clean up their property and make sure that the council have an emergency evacuation plan in case of fire? Sarah or Ari, who wants to go first on that? Sarah, by the looks. Oh no, Sarah's
Ari,
on mute.
I'll let you. I'll respond.
All right, Ari, you go first, and then Sarah will respond.
Well, first of all, I should say I'm really sorry to hear about the arson attacks, because to me this sounds like it's a combination of problems. One is that there's obviously some sort of antisocial behavior going on. This area risks becoming isolated from the rest and sort of in the shade of the other areas, and that's why that the litter wouldn't be get taken care of, and that's why there would also be potential crime hazard in addition to a fire hazard. So then this obviously needs to be addressed then by the I believe it's in terms of rubbish collection, those are the measures that the county and district councils already have in place for dealing with fly tipping. That sort of thing needs to be reported to the council, and then of course they need to be aware that this is an area that needs to be inspected. So I would get those sorts of inspections going, but more than that, I think it needs the attention of the police to make sure that that there is no antisocial behavior going on, and we also need to make sure that that our planning procedures don't end up creating these little cul-de-sacs of potential trouble going forwards, because I just don't understand how this could have been created in the first place. So I'm sorry I don't have a very scientific answer, but I haven't.
Sarah, how do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, so I think, for me, it really is about lobbying and advocating and going and meeting with Network Rail and really pushing and really, and as I mentioned in my introduction, making sure you don't give up that fight and making sure that we are pushing for that. And I think also it's about fire and rescue and engaging with them and to understand the nature of the risk and the level of the risk that they've got there, and working with the county council to make sure that we have got the emergency planning in place. But again, going back to the antisocial behaviour, I think that's something that's been picked up on the doors as well. And I think that's something that we do need to make sure that we are encouraging reporting, because people aren't reporting. People are frustrated and feel like nothing is happening with antisocial behaviour. Having been a victim myself of antisocial behaviour earlier this year and seeing actually reporting it, I actually got an outcome, and there's actually someone who is now serving a community order as a result of reporting it. So I think it really is about communicating, making sure that we're aware of it, making sure the council's aware, making sure that emergency planning is in place, and making sure we've done a risk assessment. we've engaged with all the stakeholders, and we see exactly what the plan is.
Great, thank you both of you, Ari and Sarah, on that one. I think we've just got time for one more question, and that is this is from Linda and Kevin. They say that some residents on Loves Farm are required, these are homeowners, to pay maintenance fees for towards the cost of the estates, things like grass cutting, some of the parking, lamp posts, lighting, and so on. But not all residents have that the same requirement to pay anything, and yet they all pay the same council tax. Would you support the idea of those residents or those homeowners who are having to pay another company to do some of this work, and whereas other residents are not, that those ones should pay a bit less council tax? Now, do you understand the question? Who wants to have a go at answering that one? We've got time for a couple of short responses. Yes, Fiona, you go first.
Well, firstly, this is quite shocking. I live on Loves Farm, so I'm quite disappointed to hear this. I would like to know why this is happening. So within what sort of framework is this happening, and why are some people being targeted and others are not? I believe that having, again, open discussions and possibly more meetings with our councillors, hold a meeting at Loves Farm House itself to discuss these issues would be a way forward, because I now am very interested to find out why this is happening and what has triggered this. So definitely be looking into that. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Fiona. Yes, Lara, then Sarah.
Thanks for your question, Linda. I know this is a problem that's been troubling you for a while. Some of the other candidates have mentioned a feeling that our community spirit is lacking, but I think this is a particular topic where we saw our community come together, and members of your neighborhood took it upon themselves, including you, to take over that management company and to have some influence in it. And I'm so proud of our community doing things like that, and other neighborhoods across Loves Farm have done that as well. In terms of reduction in council tax, the reason why some of these management fees are charged is because of chronic underfunding of councils in the past. So decisions over many years of councils not to increase council tax has meant that they don't have enough money to maintain the green spaces around your home. And that is required in some cases where the standard of green space is wanted to be higher, that the house builder decides they need to charge a fee for it.
Thank you for that explanation. And clearly it's a real, topical issue. Sorry, Sarah, did you want to go next on that?
Yes, please. So, as I mentioned, as a caseworker for Ian, there's something that I get sort of a lot of people writing in about. So we do get a lot of people that are contacting the office because they are concerned about the service charge and what they're being paid. And I think really it's about ensuring that we are holding the management companies to account. And I know from the MP's office that we have been writing to these management companies, trying to hold them account. So it's not the leaseholder, it's not about sort of the people at the end, the end user who are paying for it, but it's about making these companies face up to what they're doing, and really, really advocating for leaseholder reform, and really but at a national level, this needs to happen. There needs to be some legislation and some lobbying put in nationally to make sure that this kind of situation shouldn't happen, because it's not great for people to be living there and to be having these unfair charges leveled at them. And in some cases, what we've seen, not just on Loves Farm, but in all over the constituency, is they have a service charge and then it is hiked, and these people do not have any say in it. So we really, it's something that I've been working as caseworker, and it's something that I will definitely pick up and be working for as your councillor.
Okay, this is a tricky one. Our time is up, but Ari, I'll let you have the last word on this one briefly if you want to.
Okay. Yes, this obviously needs to be looked into because it does sound pretty unfair. But what I would say is that the differential, as far as I understand it, is created by by the fact that in some cases roads and areas have been adopted by the local council, and so the differential exists for that particular reason. And the council needs to look into that. I agree with that, to see whether this can in the future going forward be made uniform for everyone, because it does seem reasonably unhelpful. And also it sounds like people don't actually understand why this is happening, which is makes it doubly unhelpful and oppressive in that sort of sense, and people worry about it. So I'm sorry about the worry as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Well, I think it's been a brilliant hour. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who've come and listened in, and I really hope that this is going to inform your decision as to voting next week. Can I also just remind you, there's also at the same time the election for the mayor of the combined authority. Remember to take your ID with you, and the voting is at Loves Farm House all day next Thursday. But then lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to the candidates who've come along. It takes a lot of courage to stand for public office, and you often don't get a lot of thanks or appreciation for it. You get a lot of stick for it. But thank you so much to the four of you for giving your time to this, for sharing your ideas, your thoughts, your heart, your priorities. And whether or not you get elected, I hope that you'll continue to find ways to serve the community in different ways. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll hope to see you all next week. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Oh, and thanks to Jen as well for organising it, especially, and Sam.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good. Everyone's dipping out. Farewell, everyone.